No.
Because everyone's here. Okay. I will call the meeting to order. If you would call the roll, please. Present.
It's
Here.
here.
Here. Okay, so we are in our regular meeting and I would ask all of you, welcome for one, and if you'd stand and join us for the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay. First order of business is approval of the minutes.
I have one correction. Let's see. It's gonna be on. Pages were numbered. It will really help. Okay. The first, second, third, fourth, on the fifth page of the minutes. Be the third paragraph down where Mr. Christensen entertained a motion. If you look down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it should be New Mexico 267 and not 206.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay. Our first order of business is a recommendation for where to place materials from the boneyard. And I think Ms. McClellan is going to brief us on that.
Great. So this one's not a public hearing. This was just a recommendation. See what you'd like us to do. So in the last meeting, we did the zone change. What wasn't included in the zone change was that little tail end that we call the boneyard. So at council, the third half was approved. That boneyard is still out of compliance. So we're trying to see what recommendations that commission has for us to move forward with those materials.
Excuse me, you said they approved the third half?
Yeah,
As industrial park.
yes.
That as a,
Yeah.
M2,
Yes, as an M1.
M1.
Yep, so as recommendation here, the default recommendation.
Mhm.
And so we still have the boneyard to figure out where we're gonna put those materials, if we're gonna leave them or move them. Staff recommendation, of course, is just to leave them. It's the least expensive option, least staff hours. We're not sure how long the materials have been there or it's been used. But one of the employees who's been working here 12 years said it was established before he got here. I didn't want to put an actual year though, because I'm not sure. It is surrounded by the light manufacturing zone. And then if we do that, we can rather use a special use permit. We'll have another public hearing this upcoming meeting for it. The other option, of course, is we can move it to other city properties. We have to have a public hearing if it's within city limits. I believe if it's out of city limits, we do not need a special use permit as they're specific to city properties and city zones. But I would double check myself before we did that. So we did ask Steve how long it would take to move the materials. Let's say he would shut down all parks and streets operations and just had to move. He said about 2 to 3 weeks, just because they don't really have the equipment to move it. So it'd be a lot of little loads. We reviewed the properties the city owns. There are options, but none are without their problems. So either zoning options, they're in residential areas, they'd be in violation of grants, or they're too far away. You're adding 45 minutes to an hour round trip to get these materials. If you did want to go possible properties, we have the M1 zone by industrial, which we don't think is a very good option, but it is there. We have, it's called the gravel yard by City Hall. It's that little fenced in area by the Greyhound apartments. We only keep, the materials that we use very, very frequently there. It's pretty small and we don't have to be able to fit all the materials from the boneyard there. And of course, it is a little more residentially surrounded by your apartments. And then we do have the well field, and that's the one that would take about 45-60 minutes. Addition, just extra round trip. So we were wanting to see what you wanted to do. The public hearing for the special use permit's about $600. So we just wanted to get a feel of what direction you guys were going for, before we spent that money, so we can really kind of narrow down our options. But we're happy to answer any questions you have and see what recommendations you guys have for us.
Well, I've been through the boneyard. Is there a reason why we're even keeping that stuff? Is there stuff that can be recycled?
Yes, so the city manager is working, we're having all of the new dumpsters. Well, not all, a lot of new dumpsters
Yeah.
coming in. They're working with Ed's scrapyard. And going through the proper ways to get rid of all the old broken down ones, and get them out of there.
There's a lot of old light fixtures.
The poles too, yes.
Yeah,
Those
I mean,
are,
there's a lot of stuff out there that looks like to me could be recycled.
and I know that was what city council requested, and I know the city manager's been working on getting them out.
Is the part, I mean, and that's not anything that, you know, to me, it's just been used as a dump yard for too long. I think that's the issue that needs to be changed.
I
And-
remember going back to the 90s. That used.
Yeah, someone quoted me 50 years there, but I didn't want to say that and be 100% wrong, so
Mhm.
12+ years I was comfortable with.
Kelly, I'd like to know why the landfill or the water treatment plant or the airport was not on there.
Yes, so the landfill, you cannot put anything on there. That's part of when you have a decommissioned landfill, they're very strict about what you put on there. The airport is technically, yes, an option. Realistically, it's not really an option. It's one of the ones that falls under your violation of grants. Because that land was bought with a grant for aviation purposes. If you want to have non-aviation purposes used, it's possible. But you have to redo a map. And that map's about $227,000 to redo, and then you have to buy that property back from your grant that's being used for non-aviation. So, I mean, that's still a possibility. It's just a very, very expensive option.
And the water treatment plant,
I did not ask about the water treatment plant. That wasn't one of the properties I considered. But that, I don't know if that's by grant. I didn't ask about that property.
So the city's only wanting to move bleachy, gravel, things that it will reuse, and then it's gonna recycle everything else, which
Yeah.
means,
We are going to cycle it. Without the light pole, anything.
yeah, because those light bulbs been out there forever.
All concrete.
But, yeah, concrete, can you take concrete and get
you'll do it.
rid of that? There's somebody that can crush that.
Right. We're going to the top. It's going to probably. Other than that, that's what it is now. I think we want to do something.
The thing that bothers me is it's between two residential property. And those residential properties will never be of any value if the city keeps using this as a boneyard.
Well, one of them is.
But it's still a residential property, and in the future, if it wants to be sold, and somebody wants to buy it and clean it up. There's the city, and I think the city has a responsibility to be a leader in this and say, yes, we understand where we're at. We've got residences on both sides, and we value your property as much as we value ours. So that's why I don't like to see it as a boneyard. Now, I don't have as much problem with the bleaching and all that materials you will use again. I do have a problem with all the junk that's just thrown out there because we're not so well. Technically, you probably don't have a permit to be a junkyard. They will fine you for a junkyard maybe a boneyard you can call it, but I know about junkyard. And you have to have. So I suggest you get rid of everything.
It's a good example that we want the citizens to keep their properties up to this certain standard. The city needs to
Keep things up.
keep theirs up to.
So, I mean, if you've got places you've already got gravel and sand and stuff, I would like to see it moved. Get all your sand and gravel in one place, all your sand in one place, all that stuff in one place. And apparently y'all have been dumping trees out there too. You know, fallen trees, or are those just fallen trees from there? Y'all aren't taking any of the trees that you cut and take
Most
out the-
cases, and I can't speak for all of them, we chop them up and people come and take them for firewood.
Okay, because
So-
it looks like a lot of trees had been dumped out there right off of that road. And I'm pretty sure those just involved.
Well, we can definitely look into how to move just with the dumpsters and the other scrap metal.
But that would be my suggestion. You do have those other places and keep them up neat and nice. I mean, go ahead and leave that, but you've got to get rid of that stuff. I don't know, even with what is it on the north side of that, where you've got a building and it's fenced in and it's got all the vehicles?
Yeah, it's the kind of like the public works compound almost.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many vehicles in there. You could all run.
They are going through the state to have a big auction on all those.
That's a good thing. And even the stuff you might not can recycle, you might get auction off and that stuff too, because I started thinking, how often do you have the city have auction?
That is, they had fallen kind of by the wayside when the person who ran them left.
Right.
But that is what Steve and Miss Lilian, our finance director, have been going through is everything that can go, let's get it gone.
Well, you'll be surprised what people will buy it. I mean, the university has an auction yearly because they have stuff they have to get rid of, so I think it's a good thing for the city and get it done. That's my suggestion.
So your recommendation is okay to leave the materials there, but the trees, the scrap metal, that kind of stuff, have that removed.
I really recommend you remove it all, but the big stuff is the metal and the glass and all that stuff. I would really like to see y'all eventually move all that stuff, because like you said, over there by Greyhound Apartments, you've got I don't know if there's a pile of cleat, there's a pile of gravel, there's a pile of that. Put it all in one place, you're gonna have to have somebody come out there and break up the concrete. As they do that, they can put it in a truck and haul it off to wherever you want. Or, I don't know how you can't sell it because that's all different stuff, because we're gonna have facility. But there's ways to use that.
So, with this recommendation, would the recommendation be to move it and then to where? Just so we know what.
Try looking at the water
Permit.
treatment plant. There's enough space out there. And I know that there's piles of dirt out there on the landfill that just didn't appear whenever that thing closed.
Yeah, because of the grant is what
But
you're
the-
saying.
The landfill is, I'm not sure what that one is. I know there are special rules on decommissioned landfills because of what is underneath them. But I asked Steve about the landfill, if that was somewhere we could put it, and he said no, that we would not be allowed as a city to put anything back on that landfill. So that's,
So try at the water treatment plant. There's a lot of trees there that could be cut down and there's a lot of property there that could be used for these piles.
that's definitely something we can look at if that'd be guys' recommendations. Putting it there, that is not one of the properties I asked, so that may or may not be allowed.
So, or that, or move to others, move to other city properties, and then you may have to parcel it out. You may not can fit, whatever your cleat is. Where do you have a cleat pit where do you have cleats you piled right now beside that at the moment?
I believe it's just the boneyard and the clay yard, which would be the one right next to the Greyhound Apartments.
Then put it all in K-yard.
Okay.
And then where do you have gravel? Do you have it somewhere? Then you put it where you got that. Condense it.
Okay, so those are our two, are gonna be the K yard and the boneyard, are where our material piles are that I'm aware of. I don't believe it's all gonna fit the K yard. But if that's your recommendation for us to do the special use permit to move all those materials there, we can definitely put as much as we can. In that fenced off area.
I just don't know if that, if your neighborhood look really horrible with piles of dirt and piles of concrete or whatever. I don't think that over there on K, place to put it. That right there is junky. I wouldn't want to live there.
Oh, where the
It's
Greyhound
nice.
apartments are. There's another deal. You have them put a privacy fence around. it Eventually.
Oh, no, I think we're creating another issue by moving it from
Where?
one place
Place to another.
We just need to get all of it, even that's over there by Eastern, all of it moved to one central place. And if you can do it at the water treatment plant, I think that would be the best deal. It's not an eyesore for residents because you have the landfills right there. And you're at least picking up somebody else's property, you're beautifying somebody else's property that residents that are living in Portales.
I agree with Mrs. Walker. I think she's got a good idea.
Would we be able to comment from the nose and see if there's any grant violations for that? Those are only, usually if they're bought for specific, first we have to keep them. So if you can just check with him, we're fine.
I understand.
How about
grants.
we
Yeah,
table this until the end of the meeting
we definitely can, we can bring it back.
and we'll move on?
Fair.
Okay.
Switch you out.
We will go on to item B, public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-35, a resolution providing for a zone change at the ENMU main campus from CRR1 zone to an RA zone for the purpose of building a new agriculture facility submitted by ENMU. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Miss Lovelady is going to give us a quick rundown.
Excuse me. So this is an application for a zone change on, some land owned by Eastern New Mexico University. They're looking to change to a rural agricultural zone for the purpose of housing some livestock for different purposes. Of that nature, and I'll let them go more into their plans. And I'll just cover. So this is the current zoning. I think I made a mistake in the packets and put R1, but it's general commercial zone and multifamily residential zone company is what it's.
So the blue part is,
Oh, the blue part is the general commercial. And the
And
R2 is the multifamily.
okay.
For this application, published a public hearing in the Eastern Mexico News on December 22nd, 2024. Sent 24 certified letters to property owners. There was 2 for the proposal, 1 against. And then out of the 6 certified letters to public utilities, there was no response. And the 1 protest, they didn't turn in a statement as to why. I did put, it is on the letters now to turn in a statement when they protest it, but this wasn't. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. They said I'm the president of the university and that's one right here too.
Okay, so if you guys would step over and be sworn in. Or whoever's speaking. Swear you in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The purpose of this change, the proposed building that we would place on that side of campus is an agricultural teaching facility. It's a barn with internal and external pins for the purpose of teaching things like management, production, nutrition, artificial insemination, that type of facility. We do not intend to maintain some significant herd density of any livestock in particular. They will bring cattle in, for example, bring cows in, for example, to teach artificial insemination and sell them off at the end of the semester. So we'll be moving livestock of various types in and out of that facility, depending on what we're teaching and when. This is part of a broader work or effort to expand our agricultural offerings, agribusiness, and so on. When we originally proposed this, there were a large facility on, really, in my mind, the east side of campus, and then this facility on the west side of campus. So I think something's called north and south, I guess, depending on the orientation. But we still have the intent of doing both. This first phase is part of the GeoBond project, which will now carry into this coming legislative session. And we would use the funds from this first GeoBond that was approved by the voters to go into building this facility. If approved, we can rezone this and later in the fall of this year.
Well, we had the county come to us and ask for a zone change over by the fairgrounds. And Mrs. Baca had some concerns, and we asked them to come back when they had more details. But can you tell us what your concerns were?
Mine was the waste and the flies. I mean, you have residents that are right there facing the property that you're wanting to do this on. What are we gonna do with all of that?
And that's actually part of what we teach is the waste management, odor control, pest control. That's part of the teaching of and use of this particular facility. So I think with that and the smaller number of animals that we would have, it's I think certainly manageable to control and to teach in a facility like that located in that property. And certainly sensitive to my home is diagonally from where we propose to place that as well.
So what will you be doing with the waste?
So either the recycle, dispose, if it's cultivated and fall off, I don't know the specifics of what they will do with waste as it is collected and removed from within the facility, but certainly what remains within or just allowed to remain on the property.
So is this going to go into the city dump?
That is not our intention. I don't know if there's a place where they call that otherwise or cultivated into soil or compost or what direction they would use that.
See, that's our concern. That's one of our concerns, and that was the concern with the county. They didn't know what they were going to do with it. And so we told them to come back because we need to know what they're going to do with it. Because if they're putting it in the dumpsters, then that was an issue for those people around. The smell, the flies, and all that issue, there's also what do you do with the disposal of dead animals?
Right. And there's a contract to remove the dead animals, so that there's a company that would remove. So there should we lose an animal in that facility, those are contracted with a company that comes and picks those animals up and removes them from the property, disposes of them appropriately.
So that's what they're supposed to do when something happens and an animal dies.
Yes,
That
yes,
person is.
that is what, yes.
So they could be laying out there for a couple of days or something like that before this company comes and picks them up.
Not our intention, no. And I don't think they would have them. And it's, the animals that we have out as part of the teaching program, so it's not animals that under great stress or anything like that. I mean, I know we would, you would lose an animal as part of, but I don't know if there's a particular time frame or time limit that we would house and contain carcass until
Billy, this is an agriculture change. What does this do with the city of the count of the animals that are on this? Does it still lay in those guidelines, or does this kind of lift it even more?
Do you know, do you have the numbers for this size? And so they couldn't go over that amount of animals.
Y'all have any idea how many cows you would have at one time or?
When we looked at this and talked originally, this is something, you know, you'd have a small class that's going in, you may have 6 to 10 animals in, so a particular time teaching. For example, the artificial insemination project program, there would be 6, 7 animals they would bring in, work with them, and then send them back to the mill.
That's currently kind of what they're doing now, isn't it?
Yes,
It's in a much smaller place
A
over
much-
there on
right.
campus.
along that line. So,
And they're only doing it with cattle right now, but you want to expand?
well, there are others of some of the nutrition programs, production programs and management programs. So you're talking about using a small number of animals for hands-on experiences with things like that. Yes.
But the more that your classes increase, the more your animals will increase. I
Certainly
mean,
be
the
lim-
intentions right now are saying it's gonna be small. But in the longer outcome, if your classes get bigger and it has more of a success story, you're gonna have more animals that are gonna be needed because your classes are bigger.
I don't think so on a program like this. The scale that we're talking about for these, the number of animals that you would have, number of students that would need that hands-on experience, because as you reach those upper division courses, I don't see us having, 50, 60 students in those. Those are usually the 10 to 15 students that would interact with a program at that level. And different courses offered at different times during their junior and senior year. So they're having those experiences as they go through. So I don't see classes or cohorts of, along the numbers that you're talking about. The facility itself is intended to have that hands-on, that personal attention. So it's a lab type facility, if you will, of providing those hands-on experiences with live animals and smaller number of students with our faculty. So no, I don't think that if you're talking about, growing this to where we would have, 50, 60 animals at a time on there, no, that's not what this program is for, or what that facility would be.
Kelly, did you find a number? What does it say? I can't read it. I can't read it.
All livestock and we have and getting there and not nuisance in violation of the law. And that is part of the thing, they would look at a livestock clinic. So if we start having wild business, we're gonna have things, that sort of thing.
The city can do that.
Right.
It's already something about, it's still subject and so making sure.
Swine was listed in it.
However, I believe it are. Because the big law,
No chicken? No chicken?
Well,
Big deal.
I think it's nice that you guys are trying to expand the program
Yeah.
for agriculture, since we live in an agricultural area. And I think it would be beneficial to a lot of our students.
I do have concerns as she does. And I do know that we've had some issues out the Eastern with some people not following policy and procedure on animals. So that bothers me. Another thing I would like to see, if this happens, is a privacy fence again put up around it. In Lubbock, Texas Tech was given the equestrian center, what they now call the equestrian center. It was in a residential area. It is fenced where none of those residents can see what's going on inside. It's nicely done. And I like that idea of being fenced because if anybody comes to Portales through central New Mexico, they come down, you turn at Melrose, they come through and then they drive right by that facility. And I don't want it to be look like old McDonald's place, you know, I want it to look nice. I'd like to have a nicely fenced area. Again, what we told the city, we want to be leaders and examples to how we manage stuff. And that's probably what you're going to try to teach. This is, we're going to, you know, I would love anybody to go out there and look at the equestrian center. I love it because it's wonderful. But I think some kind of fencing would need to be up. And I think, again, I'm concerned about the waste and the animals and how they're taken care of once they die, because I know it's an issue.
Any other questions, comments?
How big a building were you talking about? Or is it just an open area?
No, it would be a metal barn, enclosed facility. And the dimensions, I don't know if we drawn those.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it, the panel. Figure it out. First off, we were able to get things done. Design for them.
Then you'll have to have outdoor facilities off.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anyone else want to speak on this? Okay, I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're back in regular session. And I will entertain a motion to approve or deny the zone change.
Can we approve or deny with recommendations?
Certainly is.
Me personally, I have to think of the residents in the north side. And with that being said, it's not fair for them to be living by agriculture whenever they went over there and bought a home that is residential area. So I make the motion that we deny.
Motion. You want to have a second?
It dies for lack of a second. I make the motion that we approve it, but I recommend it be totally fenced area. And I'm telling you, I'm concerned. I'm like her, I'm concerned about how they handle their policy and procedures with, not so much about the waste, but with the dead animals. I've seen it in the past. And if people don't do what they're supposed to do, I don't see them taking any job or doing anything with those people that don't follow the policy and procedures that they have set in place. And they continue. So strictest guidelines possible. I approve it, strictest guidelines possible, and a fence around it.
We have a motion.
Second that.
And a second. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 So
Okay, so that motion was approved and it will go to the city council. The 8th, 18th. Go to city council. No, that couldn't be the 18th. That's a Saturday. January 21st.
It's a Saturday. Okay, thank you for coming. Next item is public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-36. A resolution providing for a variance at 1120 West Gum Street for a carport and a fence that do not meet City of Portales code regulations submitted by Socorro Juarez Escobar. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moves. Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Love lady is going to,
Yes, so this is a variance for a carport and a fence that was built at 1120 West Gum Street. This is the plot plan that was submitted for the carport. Currently, it's out of compliance with two regulations for our accessory buildings. It's 25 feet by 46 and 1,150 square feet. Our maximum allowable square footage is 500. So the variance would be for what is over that 500 square feet. And then it also does not meet the 10-foot setback from the back of the end of the curb and is only 9 feet, so it's 1 foot short with that regulation. And then the fence is similar to the other fence applications we've seen last year. They're wanting to they have put in a 6-foot fence, which allowable is only 4 feet in the front yard setback. And then these are just pictures of the carport and the fence currently as they are. And then we also have the applicants here as well. I always forget this one. We published this public hearing in the Eastern New Mexico News on 12/22/24. We sent 7 certified letters to property owners. We didn't have a response from any of those. And then out of the 6 certified for public utilities, we had no response for this. That's one.
okay, thank you.
So the fence and carport and everything is already finished and put up.
Yeah, so it was a building that was caught by code enforcement as unpermitted. So they came in, and when they submitted their paperwork to get the building permits and everything, that's when we let them know that it was out of regulation.
Drove by. It is a very nice looking property. You've done a nice job on it. Does anyone from the family want to get up and speak? Sure. You guys have both come up.
Si puedes jurar que vas a estar abajo de él.
So we went ahead and built without a permit, and now it's not quite in compliance, so you're looking for a variance on the building.
And this is not on a corner. This is an alley we're seeing, right?
Correct.
And this is the front yard. It's supposed to be 4 foot in the front yard and not 6, right? Or what? That doesn't really look 6 foot. Is it?
I don't believe it. Are we talking about the chain link fence in the front? Cause that's not that's not,
Yeah,
they're on the side.
Oh, right there, that level, right?
yeah, right.
And why do we have that metal over there on the side?
Think they're gonna put the panels up.
The panels for the fence.
That's the frame.
So they're wanting to put a fence instead and take out the chain link fence. Right?
Are you gonna leave the chain link?
Well, we're gonna leave the chain link fence. To how it is, we just wanna close out the alleyway.
Close up the alley from your property.
Yes.
And so you don't have the panels up yet.
No,
Okay. And
And
how far in the front? Or
I was
we-
gonna say,
not
how far by rule do we have to be from the curb on the 4 feet? For the
For the
fence?
fence?
Okay. Okay. Okay,
So how many poles would that entail cutting down?
So the variance isn't for their setback, just for the height of the fence, but their setbacks are okay.
Your setbacks are okay, but the height is already, the poles are too tall.
Yeah,
So how many poles would we have to cut down to get them back to how far they need to go?
halfway, on the residence, so if the residence is here, we can midway for the system.
I'm thinking give them a variance on the carport, and since they haven't built it, that'd be an easy deal just to cut those pipes down before they finish up,
and
and they'll be within
privacy from the alley,
compliance.
The alleyway, you do want privacy from.
Yes.
you know, and they're already 5 feet back from the curb, so
Correct.
I would. let 'em-
I would give them both the variance.
Yeah.
I commend you
Because of,
for taking pride in your property
exactly,
because your house is the best looking house on that lot by far.
any other questions, comments? And I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So we are back in regular session. I'll entertain a motion to approve the variance for the carport and the fence.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the variance for both the fence and the carport. Call the roll, please.
Bennett?
Yes.
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that has passed this committee and now it goes to the city council on the same 21st. Okay, thank you. And again, let me say thank you for your property. It does look really nice. So. Okay, next item. Public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-37. A resolution providing for a variance at 128 Oklahoma Drive for a carport that would not meet City of Portales Code regulations submitted by Scott Parker. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we are in public hearing. Miss Lovelady.
So this application is also for a variance for a carport, but it is not yet built. And it is at 128 Oklahoma Drive. Here is the plot plan that was turned in for the proposed carport, would be 25 by 22, 9 feet high. The total square footage would be, I made a typo there, 550, I believe, square feet. And so it would just be 50 feet over the maximum allowed square footage, and they would meet all other requirements, so setbacks. And everything of that nature. So we also published this one in the Eastern New Mexico News on 12/22/24. We sent 13 letters to property owners in the area. We had no response from them. And then of the 6 certified to public utilities, I had no response from them either. And then Mr. and Ms. Parker are here if you have any questions for them or for me.
Does anyone have a question?
Um, you're wanting to go wider. What is, how far is that from the residence?
They go back to-
Yeah, well, until we swear you in. but you can't. All right. Because, that's the only concern we've had in the past.
Yeah, and I think she said
There's
it met,
just
it met all the other requirements. Plenty of,
So there's not a fire safety.
No,
thing that we have to-
that is-
Yeah, so we're good on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And I will entertain a motion to approve or deny the variance for the carport at 128 Oklahoma.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Okay. It's done.
No, back to our table.
Do you know where the city council meetings are?
I don't know. Do you know when they are?
Okay, so I guess we will go back to our recommendations on the material. Okay,
In the meantime, remember to like look at the properties or help us with the additional properties. And make sure we have the recommendations. Great.
well, I would just say one thing. I agree with all the material, the metal, the boneyard, the dumpsters, and we're working on getting all that recycled. But like you said, a lot of that dirt and stuff has been there for years. People bought a lot of that property with that material was there. And I know maybe that is the place where we should have the material instead of on K Street behind. Maybe we need to do a variance so that can be a storage area. Because we have to put it somewhere.
Well, I'm gonna
Agreed.
tell you,
Agreed. But if we have properties.
Because we do have
like
property.
Treatment area, that it could all be accumulated, why not go in there and utilize that property?
But we own this property also.
Correct, but do we need to have a variance or anything like that at the water treatments?
I believe that's in the county, but I would double check to make sure that I don't do this.
here's the thing. Here's the thing I don't like. I don't have a problem with dirt and cleachy and concrete that's been crushed up. I have a problem with glass and
Oh,
metal
Right, and that's what I
and
said.
light poles.
And
And that's what they're using the boneyard for.
Right.
And that pisses me off. Okay?
No, I agree.
So no, I don't want it used as a boneyard because bones insinuates something that doesn't deteriorate. So yeah, no.
And I was saying a material storage.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that
Mhm.
if we get the other stuff cleared up.
But I'm saying if we have a
If we
property that we do not have to have a variance or anything else like that, let's utilize it. It's out in the county.
Okay.
We'll bring it back next meeting. So in the meantime, you guys have any recommendations, or you can things out today, hit me up. We will look at it or try to.
Okay. Anything else?
I have two things. I would like to know if there's an update on East Elk.
So we submitted recommendations for our general counsel. We don't have it. And they recommended that recommendation look at further to make sure we're not in violation of the anti-discrimination laws. So we were going to submit for a new attorney and it's still in works. So we're holding that to the future. So we're not going to be moving forward with moving anything until we get back there. But that's what all of this.
Okay. Second thing is these notices that are going out to these people that are 100 feet away from whatever project is coming across here. I think there needs to be more detail as to what is occurring instead of just the zone change or whatever. Because if you had more, I guess I'm saying non-attorney lingo put in these, you would have more people who would come in and there'd probably be more people protest, especially with Eastern. If they would understand that this was an agriculture where they are going to have animals living right there in front of their homes, they might be more apt to go over there and say something. I do not, I've gotten these too, and I don't like the wording of them at all. So I would like to have somebody go through here and try to make this more plain to more of the city folk.
I agree. I agree.
Templates and then bring it to you guys, or some reason, legal, make sure they're fine, everything we're putting out, there's some sort of hearing, and then there's the grants, I think some of you guys like to.
I think it could also work just the opposite. They know exactly what it is, they understand more, and okay, that's fine, but you know, that would work both ways.
Oh, yeah, they come in, they say they were gonna just put a building. Well, you know, they're not gonna put a building. They're gonna put out a building. Okay, then we finally got that out of it. Okay, you know? I want everybody to be upfront and honest, and I want them to know that they have issues out there, but they got stuff in place, but people don't follow the policy and the procedures, and they don't do anything with the people that don't follow the policy and procedures.
But to go to one of the regions and talk to them.
You could, but they don't take care of business, and that ticks me off. So how do you deal as a city with somebody at like the university that doesn't take care of business?
Well, and I do not understand the sweeping it underneath the rug. If we need to let the residents know what is happening around them, they have value in their homes and should have a say. They should have a say.
I think that's my great property owners call and ask about the application, but when I explained to them what it was for, they didn't really. That's usually the case, is I explain what it's for and they don't really have it. People do reach out and ask questions based on the letter that I.
But wasn't there like 24 of those letters out that went out on this?
Yeah, 24 the property.
Okay, so how many people contacted you? 3?
And
Out of the
I
24.
received 18 of the emergency. So.
But just because you get the return receipts does not mean that they know what is going on. I mean, I go to the post office and I sign for stuff too, but it does not mean that I know what I'm signing
Why
for.
they're available to contact me, they just know they can call, they have options to contact and ask questions.
I understand that, but I think that if the paperwork, the letter that was sent out to them was more clarified, maybe they'd have more questions. It's just like me getting a letter the other day saying somebody was gonna they're residents of my house. I know they're not a resident of my house. Did I do anything about it? No, because I know that they're not a resident of my house. But the thing is, I'm gonna go get a bill in 2 weeks because they were just added to my insurance company. Is that fair? No. But the thing is that we need to simplify what we're sending out so residents know what is happening around them. That's just my suggestion.
Here's some templates I'll send you guys.
Okay. Any other business? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.